Right. Welcome everyone to this session. The administrator issues and updates on January 14th, 2025. County Administrator Gary Schmidt, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Chair Roberts, thank you. Roll call, Commissioner Savas.
Present.
Commissioner Fireside.
Here.
Commissioner Schrader.
Here.
Chair Roberts.
Here. Thank you, Administrator Schmidt. Would you please introduce the first agenda item for us?
Yes, and Commissioner West is here. He's on his way, not in the room right now. Chair, would you please convene as the Development Agency Board?
Yeah, I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners, convene as the Development Agency Board.
Thank you. You're now meeting as the Development Agency Board of Directors of Clackamas County. The first item is Happy Valley Sunrise Highway Project Letter of Support and Funding Request. There's a memo in your packet that outlines both. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development, which oversees our county's Urban Renewal District, which is the development agency, will present. Go ahead, please, Dan.
Thank you so much, Gary. Chair Roberts, Commissioners, good morning. We are here, before we get into the request, just a little bit of background. So essentially, Metro receives federal funds that need to be directed towards certain transportation projects. Those come on every 2-year cycle, and essentially Metro goes through a process which they call the Regional Flex Funds to distribute those monies throughout the region to various partners for certain types of projects, okay? That kind of sets the stage for this request. Essentially, the City of Happy Valley has made an application for those dollars to look at some improvements, some capacity and ped and bike improvements along at the intersection of Highway 212 and 224 in the Sunrise Corridor, okay? I apologize, I should have provided, actually, this was kind of rushed at the last minute. There should have been more material in here just to go through the project, essentially what they're looking to do. If you think about that corridor, when you're driving east, they're essentially, and there's the right turn lane, single right turn lane that has a very short queue distance in it. They are looking to expand that queue distance for that right turn lane onto 224, lengthen it, and also provide pedestrian connectivity from to the south of that, along that entire improvement, and also down to the Windswept Waters project, which is a residential project down to the south. We have been in preliminary negotiations and did provide a minimal amount of funding for kind of a design, a concept design, which they went through their consultant to secure. The results of that discussion with their consultant showed 3 options. They chose the option I just discussed with you. And we have been talking for some time about the ability to leverage and partner on this project. And through our budgetary process with the development agency last year, as a part of that approved budget, we did set aside up to $1 million to partner on this particular project. So it is in our approved budget for the Clackamas industrial area. So essentially, the city has made application for a Step 2 RUFA application for regional flex funds. And as a part of that, they have asked us to ask you to see if the board would be comfortable in providing a letter of support. So essentially, you see attached in the materials is a preliminary letter of support, which can be edited however you see fit, but it's pretty cut and dry. For scope and scale, just so you understand, essentially right now, the project is scoped at about $14 million in total. That's got a 30% contingency on it, and it also has an escalator on there for it, because you look at the present value of money, which is the future value of money, and the inflationary impact. So that essentially gives you the scope and scale of the project. There's a 10.27% match on these, and so essentially the county would be picking up the $1 million in the match, and the city would be paying whatever in addition to that may be needed. Even if the project goes higher, our commitment does not go above the $1 million that we've talked about and got approved in our budget. So I'd be happy to answer. Oh, I guess those requests for funds also go through JPAC, which Commissioner Savas is a part of, and when those finally get approved, once the recommendation comes from Metro. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Seeing no questions,
Sure. I just have a comment.
Oh, yes.
Not a question, and that just for everyone's edification, important to point out that this urban renewal district is no longer collecting, and we are depleting funds. So we're trying to put in all the best uses and places. And approximately how much money do you think is residing in that urban renewal district, that particular urban renewal district?
Not a lot. I mean, we've got a couple $1 million there. I'm going to say it's like 3. I could be off by a little bit, but there's also some property we have to sell and liquidate. We're in the process of that, and that could add some additional monies there. We do have, this does not diminish all the remaining money. We are strategically looking to make sure we use those monies as efficiently and effectively as we can. We just did, for example, a partnership, as the prior board knows, with the fire district to expand their training facilities out there and pay some debt service off with that. And we also are looking to leverage money against whatever the future for the Sunrise might hold. So if we have a little bit of dollars here and there, how do we leverage those against other funding sources to realize a greater improvement out in that area?
Any other comments? May I have a motion, please?
I move to support the letter, support letter to Happy Valley Metro.
Second.
Okay, so Commissioner Savas has moved to approve the draft letter and related to the $1 million commitment of Clackamas Industrial Area Urban Renewal Funds, seconded by Commissioner Schrader. Any further discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the poll?
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Fireside.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion's approved, 5-0, and the letter will be sent. Thank you very much for your time today.
Chair, sorry, would you also have a motion to approve the expenditure of $1 million for this project?
I move to approve the expenditure of $1 million towards this project.
I'll second.
So it's been moved by Commissioner Savas, seconded by Commissioner West to approve the $1 million commitment for this project. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right, so clerk, do the poll on that one, please.
Commissioner Fireside.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. All right, Gary, what's next?
Thank you, Commissioners. Next, Chair, would you please reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners?
All right, I will now adjourn as the Board of County Commissioners and the Development Agency Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you.
All
The
right.
the rest of the items here will be under your jurisdiction as the Board of County Commissioners. Next, request for a new contract with Trillium Community Health Plan for community-based health services. As promised, this is a new item, so it is not going to consent agenda. It's coming to you first to see if you agree before staff then comes to you for a consent agenda. Mary Rumbaugh, Director of Health, Housing, Human Services, will present. Go ahead, please.
Good morning,
Good
Chair
morning, Mary.
Roberts and Commissioners. So this is a new contract specific to public health. Actually, previously, some of the bodies of work were actually under the Behavioral Health Division contract, so for the first time, this will be a separate contract. But very quickly, the Coordinated Care Organizations, in this case Trillium, is contractually obligated by the Oregon Health Authority to align services with local public health and mental health authorities. The Public Health Division will assist Trillium in meeting performance-based incentive metrics as an expectation of this revenue agreement. There are 4 primary public health programs in this agreement, as well as administrative revenue to cover things like contract compliance and staff for some of the programs. The 4 primary areas are the Community Health Assessment and Community Improvement Plan, Regional Perinatal Continuum of Care, Regional Disease Prevention and Community-Based Organization Capacity Building, and Tuberculosis TB Treatment Case Management. The county will focus on high-risk populations, offering essential services like home visiting programs, immunization, and disease prevention. For disease prevention, I do want to call out that this funding does include programs like syringe service programs, which is an important intervention to reduce transmission of viral hepatitis, HIV, and other infections. And those services, at least in Clackamas, are contracted out to community-based organizations. So this important collaboration does lay the groundwork for a healthier future for our generations, lower long-term healthcare costs, and deliver lasting public health improvements, enhancing the health equity of Clackamas County residents. Any questions?
Great. Commissioner West?
Thank you. Many of these services are incredibly essential. I have a couple questions. I know we do syringe services that does help prevent the spread of HIV/AIDS, hepatitis, other communicable diseases, severe infections that need surgical intervention, things like that. They're on the front lines of that. However, many other counties also are including things like smoking kits, tin foil, smoking pipes. In any capacity, does Clackamas County participate in those activities under the harm reduction model?
With your permission, Gary, could I call up Philip Mason Joyner, Public Health Director, to answer that specificity?
And then I'll ask my second question while I'm there. When we do the needles, there's still an impact to the community as a large because we often find them used as biohazard litter. What are we doing to help mitigate? Is it truly an exchange, one needle for one needle back? Or how do we encourage the needles that are used to not end up in places that are unsafe in the community? I know that we don't have the same type of problem that maybe they may have just to the neighbors to the north of us in Multnomah County and Portland, but I want to make sure that we also those things are being disposed of properly. Do we have more containers and bathrooms to allow people, for whatever reason they may need to medically use a needle, have access to dispose of them safely? So safe disposal of needles matters to me, and then my question around the giving out of drug paraphernalia.
Good morning, Chair Roberts and Commissioners. Thank you, Commissioner West, for the question. For the record, Philip Mason Joyner, the Public Health Division Director. Great questions. Where would I like to start? Get my brain going this morning. I think the first thing to share is that syringes and syringe exchange used to be a significant body of work that was occurring across the country, but our substance use crisis in the community is changing. There's a lot less utilization of syringes, and that this funding, it does allow where we can purchase syringes, and those activities do occur, although I would say that the utilization and demand for those services are very, very low right now in our community. This funding is not being used for safe smoking supplies. This funding is primarily being used so we can have community-based organizations in the community with our public health staff providing disease education, hepatitis screening, and HIV testing on site. And trying to, we really are invested in our recovery-oriented system of care, and we're trying to encourage that wherever folks are at in their substance use journey, that we're helping them get on a path out of addiction. So it's a very small amount of money. The systems and the concerns around safety and containers and sharps, those are all things that are in place. We do have those on site. But again, this is kind of a historical document, and it allows for the syringe, but I do want to make sure that while it's called out in the contract, it's not a big focus of what's happening in the community right now, if that helps.
One follow-up, you said with this funding's not being used for safe smoking supplies or kits, do we have any capacity in the county in which we do supply those?
The Clackamas County, as an organization, we are not providing those services.
Okay, thank you. And then do we have a policy, even countywide, within our own facilities? Because Sharpie containers are not just for those that have substance abuse disorder. You could be diabetic or have other medical conditions. You need to take your medicine. But it is important to make sure that we're mitigating and preventing risk of needle sticks. And so I don't see in a lot of our bathrooms the ability to dispose of those things. You do see that in some places. For one example, I saw it at the Expo Center. I think we should have a larger conversation about leading in this effort of prevention and giving more opportunities for safe disposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from my colleagues? So if there's no questions or concerns, seeing no objections, we'll advance this item on the business consent agenda. Gary,
Yes,
so.
next week's agenda.
Correct.
Not this Thursday, next week.
Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioners. Next is Oregon Geographic Names Board proposals. There's a memo in your packet. I will present. The United States Board on Geographic Names requires, anytime there is a request by the Oregon Geographic Names Board, that the local jurisdictions have a chance to review the proposals and make a recommendation of support, reject, or stay neutral. There are 3 requests coming before you that the City of Happy Valley is submitted to the Oregon Geographic Names Board. They are to name Borges Butte, which is a butte south of Borges Road, east of Foster Road, that sits on the original Carl Borges's 1885 land claim. Second is Deerdorf Butte, which would name a butte 1 mile northeast of Damascus in honor of the Deerdorf family that had a donation land claim in that area. And finally, Pleasant Butte would name a butte at the southeast corner of Pleasant Valley. So again, the Oregon Geographic Names Board is asking Clackamas County Commissioners, do you support, reject, or stay neutral on these geographic location name changes. I have always recommended, Commissioners, that you stay neutral on these proposals because we don't fully understand if there are those that may oppose these or support these, and really you should just stay neutral and say we've acknowledged your request and we are staying neutral on this request. So my staff recommendation is you stay neutral. However, you can take any position you wish, support or reject. I recommend neutral.
Great. Colleagues?
I think neutrality's fine. It's not going to impede anything in terms of renaming these buttes, whether we are doing that. Am I correct, Gary?
Correct,
Really?
yes.
All right.
It will still go forward regardless.
So it appears there's a consensus to go ahead and stay neutral on that, so
Thank you.
we'll go ahead and do that.
We will do
Thank you,
that.
Gary. So what's next?
Next is 2025 National Association of Counties, or NACO, dues. Every year I bring this before you, Commissioners, not to assume anything, but our Clackamas County's membership in the National Association of Counties, our annual dues is $8,428. This has been budgeted. We use general funds to pay for this expense. But again, I don't assume. I'm asking if you would like to renew the county's annual dues in the National Association of Counties.
All right, Commissioner West?
Yeah, I in my first 2 years, found a ton of benefit from not only the National Association of Counties, but also from the Oregon Association of Counties. It helped me learn a ton. It built valuable relationships. As an elected, the networking opportunities were really beneficial. The ARPA funds that we all received were in large due part to the county efforts through NACO, and we benefited from those. Also having a better understanding about, at least for me, ONC lands, forestry policy, the stuff going on within the western states has been critical. We've had a voice within Health and Human Services. Some attention's been paid to our recovery-oriented system of care at the national level, and that's just in the last 2 years. And I have found a ton of benefit from it. And so for this amount of money, which isn't a lot, I support going forward with our dues.
Thank you. Commissioner Schrader?
Yes, I would also support this because I actually have been extremely involved in NACO colleagues. I was chair of the Community Economic and Workforce Development Steering Committee for 2 years until I handed it over to one of my colleagues. And I just wanted to let you know, I don't know if this is the time, but yesterday at the Association of Oregon Counties, I got unanimous support to run for second vice president of the National Association of Counties.
Congratulations.
But the nice thing about that is, we've only had 2 folks be president before. I'll be honest with you. I think it's a long shot for me, and I'm a little terrified. But but I did talk to one of my close mentors who believed in me, and lovely woman, Denise Winfrey, who was one of our past presidents. She said, Martha, just go for it. So I really would appreciate that we do the membership, and wish me luck. I'm going to need it. So thank you.
Thanks, Martha.
Okay.
So right now, could I have a motion to approve the NACO dues, please?
Chair, I move that we approve the dues for the 2025 National Association of Counties in the amount of, Gary, do I say this amount on the invoice?
Yes, please.
$8,428.
Second.
All right, so Commissioner West has moved to approve the 2025 NACO dues, seconded by Commissioner Schrader, for the sum of $8,428. Any further discussion? Hearing none, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Fireside.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Gary, what's up?
Thank you. Next is review of your board business meeting agenda for this Thursday, January 16, 2025, at 10 a.m. You have your normal course of business, including consent agenda, and remember, we're doing consent agenda different starting this week. You're not having staff presentations today. You will not have staff presentations on Thursday. You have 4 consent agenda items on the agenda for this Thursday. Please read the staff reports in advance. If you have any questions, please send them to me or your policy advisor, and we will answer them for you prior to Thursday. Or if you intend to pull an item for a discussion, if you would kindly tell me before Thursday so I could have the staff prepared to address that for you on Thursday. So that's your advanced warning. Otherwise, these items will just be on consent for your approval or rejection all at the same time. That is the review of your agenda. Thank you, Chair. The final item today, Chair, is Commissioner Communications.
And what I'd like to ask my fellow commissioners if we could kind of power through the policy session scheduled right after this. Is there a consensus we could continue without taking a break?
Sure.
Is that all right? Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and I think start out with commissioner comments. And the one thing in communication the other day, I'm considering you the veteran here. So that's why I was for your years of service and seniority based. So anyway, I would turn it over to you for
Well,
commissioner comments.
But I have to say, we have two, well, your colleagues are all smarter than I am. I've just been around for a while, and and we now have three, all of us. You read everything, Paul reads everything, Melissa reads everything, and I feel really pretty good about being surrounded by detail people. Okay, it's real helpful, and it's going to be fun working with you too. Great, so.
Thank you.
That's my communication, so.
All right, and I was going to go to the next individual who's longest serving is Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that courtesy, and I'm happy to have a rotation so that we can all be first, second, or last. So I'm not sure what everyone's preference is, so I'm flexible. So, but yeah, I'll just keep it short. I appreciate, Gary, our conversation last week briefly with regard to the consent agenda changes that we're making and new items such as what Mary Rumbaugh presented appropriate. So thanks for the procedural process. My question in that regard is property acquisition of any sort. You know, I've learned that different departments have acquired homes for, you know, whether it's shelter, whether it's housing, or whether it is a facility for those with you know, behavioral health challenges and so forth. So do all property acquisitions come to the board?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have. And Chair, I'll yield back.
Thank you. And Commissioner West.
I don't have a lot to add. I'll have more comments during, I think, our next presentation. And I look forward to seeing what we can do together, the five of us, moving forward and doing the good work of the county. And yeah, that's all I got.
Great, thank you. And Commissioner Fireside.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Chair Roberts and Commissioner West for being at the SHS meeting on Friday. It was really informative and really great that we had the representation there to make sure that our voices are heard as they're looking through this reform. I'm just looking forward to continuing those conversations because it was a great start and a great platform for Clackamas County to be heard. So thank you. That's all I have.
Great. My only comment is a big thanks to the staff that has been working so hard to help me get up to speed, provide information, and just a lot of accolades for everything they're doing to help make this transition smooth. So thank you, both of you. So with that being said, this really concludes issues and updates.